Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, Luann Nigara. Luann has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. Luann brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Power Talk Friday on A Well-Designed Business. I am thrilled beyond belief to introduce you to Katie Krimitsos. Hi Katie, how are you?
Luann, what's going on? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
This is like such a geek moment for me, Katie, because I have listened to your podcast forever. So I am totally like fangirling right now. And I'm serious. I love your show. I love how much you have helped and taught me. And I am really beside myself to be able to introduce you to my tribe of people, because I'm sure there are people out there that listen to my show that know your show because you know it's amazing. But I'm just so excited to share you, and I'm just going to tell everybody now why I'm so excited and who you are. So Katie is the founder of Biz Women Rock. Biz Women Rock is a community, and she has this platform where she educates and she brings together women entrepreneurs around the world. And Katie, I'm talking about you in third person like you're not sitting there, but it's so bizarre doing intros, isn't it? But it's you know what? And I'm a little beside myself here. I'm just gonna say, because I'm reading this and I'm like, no, Katie's just amazing. Can I just say that part?
That's my bio. That could be my bio. That's a heck of a lot easier.
It's crazy. I mean, seriously, this is what I'm looking at the bio, but now I'm going off script, because I just have to tell all of you that when you listen to Katie on her show, she is so real and so genuine and empathizes and shows herself in what she's learned and how she's learned it. And I've also listened to her on-air coaching, and you hear somebody ask you a question, Katie, and you just come right back. And I'm just like, well, that was an amazing answer, you know? And so, all right, getting back a little bit to the technical bio. Katie runs this empire of women entrepreneurs, Biz Women Rock. And within this platform that she has created, she has a podcast, Biz Women Rock. She teaches a course on how to create a rocking Facebook community. She has the Biz Women Rock Academy, which you get education and support and mindset training and strategy training, and you get community challenge, and you get hot seats, and you get goal setting. And then she also has the Mompreneur series. She has a blog, the Money Moxie series. I just am amazed at how much you not only do, but that you do well. And so thank you for taking your time to be with me here on this podcast and to share yourself with all of my peers. And I want to say to everybody that there are many things that Katie and I could talk about. And we had a little chat before the show started. And she said to me, what do you want me to do for your audience, Luann? Because that's exactly who Katie is. She goes, how can I help them best? What do you want from me? And I explained to her, and I'm going to share with you guys that I said to her, look, I know that you're really good at a lot of technical things in business. You're really good at sales funnels. You're really good at creating a thriving community. And a lot of interior designers are interested in creating Facebook communities. That's not lost on us. You have these skills. And I said, you know what, Katie, though, I would love to share that part of you that really is the teacher and the giver. And if you wouldn't mind letting me ask you some questions that relate to your journey as a mom, a wife, and a business person. And so that's what we decided we're going to do, right?
Bring it on, girl. Bring it on. And I warned Luann that I am an open book. So
let's do it. That's it. So, alrighty. So you do masterminds, Katie. You do one-on-one coaching. You have a retreat that we're going to take some time to discuss before the show is over. But my point in expressing all this is that you have a great depth of experience in helping and teaching fellow women entrepreneurs how to get their business on track and everything else. And so I wanted to ask you, based on that knowledge base and based on all that experience, is there something that you find more commonly express to you when you start to work with all the different entrepreneurs and all the different levels that you're just like, you know what, 3 out of 5 times, this is a really huge pain point or a challenge?
Yeah. 5 out of 5 times, the most common thing is that we ourselves are the biggest thing that's standing in our way between where we are and where we want to be.
Whoa.
So, so much of what I do, even though it looks like, hey, grow your business and achieve the profits or the, building the team that you want or structuring great systems so you can build out and hit some big numbers, even though that's like the sexy stuff that everyone will like, yes, that's what I want. What ends up happening in the whole process is understanding a key component of this entire entrepreneurial journey, which is that in order to run the businesses we see in our mind, we have to be and evolve into the women who can run those companies. And so it's so much personal development. It's so much mindset. It's so much dealing head on with self-doubt, with blocks, with struggles, with getting out of the mindset of lack, whether it's lack of time or lack of money or lack of resources or lack of support, and getting into the mindset of abundance and really believing that we are everything that we need to be. And it's also time to evolve into these women who can live into and run these businesses that we envision in our minds.
That's pretty deep, Katie.
I know that was we just went right in there.
No, honest to God. And you know what? It's funny because on one hand, the answer surprised me. On the other hand, it doesn't surprise me one bit because it's so true. You need to have that inner head game set up and ready to fire on all cylinders so that you can do, like you said, those external processes and those external systems and those external, lessons for scaling and yada yada. Because if the head game isn't in line, they're just to-do lists, right? They're just steps 1 to 10 to create a funnel or steps 1 to 10 to create a website. It's like, you got to get past it. That's interesting. So how do you help people, Katie, get past it?
Well, a couple of things. I'll just give you a snapshot. So most often, for example, so I work with a lot of really amazing one-on-one clients privately, and sometimes they show up and we're working on whatever specific marketing strategy or whatever specific, how are we systemizing and what process do you have and how are you hiring and how are you building your team? Like what leadership, like we're absolutely working on that stuff.
Right.
And then some days they show up and they're in tears and they don't know what to do and something major happened and they're at the low moment. And so to fool myself that working on the strategy because we set all these milestones in place and so let's just keep going on that, that would be incredibly ignorant of me. And so that's why I actually call myself a coach and strategist, because I really believe that there is such a beautiful combination of business intelligence and savviness and human connectedness and an ability to read a person and an ability to communicate with a person and to bring out the best of that person. And I don't talk about this too much, but I have seen over the years how vital this has played into it. I have a master's degree in communication, and it's in the art of mastering the way that humans interact with each other. And so I have been academically taught and have had a heck of a lot of practice of what is happening in an interpersonal relationship. And so how can I identify when somebody's having a really low moment? How, like you mentioned before, like, Katie, how can you say that, like the moment during that live coaching session and somebody's explaining this and you see right through what the real thing really is? And it's because I've had so much practice in real life and in the academic world of what's really there. Right. And so but this absolutely happens in the masterminds too. We definitely have hot seats where we're supposed to be like, here's the hot seat issue I want to work on, which is how to scale from 150,000 to a $500,000 business. Like, how am I going to do that? And then that's what we thought we were going to talk about. But all of a sudden, when we start asking questions, somebody's ending up in a pile of tears because they can't handle, or they're stressed with all of the things that are on their shoulders, which gets me to this place of, this is a really special and unique experience of women, it is impossible for us to extract who we are from our businesses. And so our businesses, our lives, our roles as mothers, as wives, as spouses, as friends, as daughters, all of those relationships and the responsibilities that we have are so intertwined with how we show up for our business and what our business is. And so when I talk about that personal development, it impacts everything. I mean, it really is like a seriously up-leveling of who you are in the world. And so how I really work on that is that I'm just super present. I'm super present with every single one-on-one private client. I'm super present with the participants in my mastermind, with the people who come to any of my live events, with anyone who's, having a conversation with me in whatever setting that we're in. So I can really hear what they want and what's really standing in their way. And I can act as a beacon of light for them so they can see it. And once you see it and you have clarity, then we can get into how do we change? How do we get out of this? And now we can see practical ways on how to get out or how to get towards something that we really want. So it's really just that. And right alongside of that is it kind of sounds like kind of a high school term, but like I'm a cheerleader. I can the comment I get a lot from clients is that I can see what they can't see. Like I can see their potential. And I don't even want to call it potential. I can see their light, and they can't always see it, And so my job is to just reflect that back to them so that they can believe in themselves, to look themselves in the eye and say, I got this. I'm not going to let myself stand in the way of what I really want in this world.
I can see the description of cheerleader for you in the way you describe it as seeing somebody's light that comes through in your podcast. And I feel like I have definitely experienced hearing you do that for people. And so I'm acknowledging you there, Katie. You are very good at it. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, so there's two things in there that you said is that our own personal development impacts everything about our business. 110% agree with that. And so what I'm curious is, there are people. So what I'm curious is the contrast when you work with somebody. So there are people that are new in business and their personal development is blocking them, maybe even going from opening their putting their shingle out. So we have so we have interior designers. These are my colleagues that are listening to us right now, right? Okay, so we've got somebody out there right now that is listening to you and is starting to think, okay, maybe I've got some potential here that I'm not aware of. Okay, what do I they're starting to get excited, and they're maybe only in their first year in business. And so that particular person is experiencing certain blocks. But Katie, do you find that, I think that you're going to say yes, and I feel like you are, that somebody could be successful 10 years in business and hearing this and saying, that's me too, because they because they've created a certain level of success, but there's that next scale up. And so but it's all rooted in different mental, not mental problems, but, headset problems, right?
Yeah.
But different ones. And so there's just like everything else in business, there's different scales and different challenges, and we have to catch ourselves at each stage to keep breaking through them. Is you agree with that, Katie?
Absolutely. This journey of entrepreneurship you never hit your destination. Right. And if and when you do, by the way, you've either sold your business or it's closing its doors. So this is almost like being a parent. I equate it to like being a parent.
Good analogy.
So if you're a parent, your job as a mother or a father never ends. Like your learning is never ending. You're constantly being challenged on how you could show up being a better parent, like how to raise your kid better, how to discipline in a way that you should. What's the next phase? Okay, they're out of diapers. Well, now what are the challenges that we have? And so you're forced. Parenthood forces you, because there's another human being on the other end of that. It forces you to grow up.
Right.
It forces you to stretch yourself in ways. It forces you to do the research on how do I want to handle this next situation. It forces you to go ask other people and how they would handle it. It forces you to do the research you need to do in order to get your kid the right XYZ and blah, blah, blah. Like, it forces you to do what you technically wouldn't really naturally want to do. You just want, but anyone who's a parent understands that your parenting begins the moment your baby is born and comes into the world, and it never ends.
Right.
It never ends.
And you're exactly right, because it's the truth. I mean, my children are grown. They're in their 20s and 30s. And the thing is, there are always, it doesn't matter. They're all grown. They're all self-sufficient. They all take care of each other. But I am still every day having a conversation with one or the other of them, and always considering the way I phrase it, the best thing that's going to be inspiring for them, and not, second guess them, and not, whatever it is that you're going through. And because, the way, it's so funny because, my style as a parent is I was mommy Nazi. That's what I've been known as.
That's funny.
Like totally, like I'm that strict mommy Nazi, right? Yep. But the thing is that it's been a very conscious journey on my part as each of the children get to be that middle school and high school and college and then adult level, to ratchet back mommy Nazi, because they need to have people that can make their own decisions, right? And function and be in the world. And so I'm relating that to what you're saying, the analogy to our business, the struggles that a designer is facing in the first 3 to 5 years, 1 to 5 years, are not the same as somebody like me in business 30 plus years. But we all reach little moments where we're like, what the heck, man? How do I do this next part?
But I think where the way that it gets easier, if you want to call it that, is that we get better equipped.
Agile too. We get a little more agile, right?
Yeah. Well, and we own the fact that there is no destination. I think that's the biggest difference between somebody who's in the beginning stages of their business and somebody who's like in the next phase, and then even like a couple decades later or whatever. Yeah. When you're in the beginning phases of your business, you're thinking, when I get there, I'll be successful. When I achieve this, and it usually looks like when I'm able to have my business pay the bills at this amount, then I will be successful, right?
Right.
And then, when you get into, from sustainability to more like scalability, then it becomes like, okay, well, now you're getting into like, okay, there is no final destination. It becomes like, of course I set goals. Of course I'm achieving, but it's not about that. It's about owning. And this is the reason it gets easier. That pressure, I think, gets a little less dramatic, if you will, and like life altering, is because you get that this is part of it. Like it's all about like, just like parenting gets easier the longer that you're in it, because you like totally accept the fact that I'm going to have struggles. There are going to be hard days. I've already experienced some hard and some great days. And my job is to just get better at showing up every time.
I agree with you. Yeah. Because the thing is, it's like, there's two things in there that remind me of things that I always say. The first is, if you don't think there's going to be any problems today in this business, just stay home, just stay in bed. So that's the thing. So it's sort of what you said, with many years in business comes the acceptance that, don't be surprised, don't be waylaid by a problem, but hey, get up and deal with it and put your big girl panties on and face it, okay? But I'm not like, oh my goodness, I'm not shocked that there's a problem, okay? Right. And then the other thing that you said is that when you were talking about, and in my mind I was seeing agile, is I was thinking that you get to a point where you just understand that there's people that know things that you don't. Ask, get their advice, and just follow it if you respect them and you know that they know more than you. Whereas I think when you're younger, not that you don't it's never blindly following, but I think maybe when you're newer, you start to go, well, this person said this person said this, what this person, and I think you just get a little bit better really picking out the good advice. And for me, I've gotten much better at, when my gut tells me that was good advice, that's it. That's good advice. I'm taking it, whereas, younger, you're sort of like, well, do I not need to ask another person? So it's interesting. So that's 5 out of 5 people that you've worked with that their biggest challenge and their biggest hurdle is right between their ears. And so that's interesting, Katie. And I have to say that would be, I don't find it a hard stretch to believe that. So, okay. All right. Now, so tell me, if we get past that, because we can't solve everybody's headset problem in an hour program.
Nope.
Okay. So, but once we get past that and we start to talk about some of the tactical, I'll call them tactical challenges of being entrepreneurs, productivity, profitability. Like, I feel like profitability, I silently cry when I find that I'm talking to entrepreneurs and they're just not really willing to look their business in the eyeballs and really say, you know what, this isn't making money and I have to change something in order to make it make money. Tell us what your experience is with that and trying to help entrepreneurs through that little ostrich in the sand sort of scenario.
Oh, yeah. So I am a very, as deep as I am into mindset work and what I would kind of call like a little bit more of the woo-woo type stuff, like visioning and, mindset practices, which is very real, but it is looked upon as very woo-woo.
I'm right there with you.
I am equally. The other part of the yin of that yang is that I am ridiculously practical. Right. I am ridiculously into numbers, getting clear on what strategy is, like, let's dig into all of that stuff. So it's kind of like that special combination of those two that I think really works magic. But it's funny. I actually just wrote a whole piece about this, about what do you do when your back's up against the wall and you really need to make money. Oh,
I saw that title blog post. I didn't take the time to read it because something else caught my eye, but I saw that. Tell us about it.
So the concept of this, and it's a big personal story of mine, is that in the early years of so just as a quick backstory, so I started my entrepreneurial journey relatively late in life, I would say. I didn't really know the word entrepreneur until I was 22. And so my first entrepreneurial experience after being in corporate for a little while was jumping into my husband's business, then boyfriend, but husband's business that he had just started. It was about 9 months old when I came into it. And so, I kind of helped on the back end. I ended up, after working it for a solid year, demanded and asked for ownership in the company. And so he and I owned that company until, he still runs it, but I'm not a part of it anymore. But so together, he and I ran that from 2008 until 2016. So during that time, it's a local entrepreneurs organization. So I was dealing, and we were sort of like a chamber of commerce for entrepreneurs. So what we were doing is we were putting and facilitating a lot of education, a lot of innovative type of education, a lot of how you can be better at running your business type of education. Okay. And facilitating a live community, like making sure that they were all helping each other and offering different platforms that they could come together and share ideas and all that good stuff. Okay.
And we'll give a shout out. That's Tampa Bay business owners. It's still going. So if anybody's in Tampa Bay area, they can, just think about Katie, and her husband is just as amazing. So, okay, go ahead.
So the point being is that early on, what I can really only talk about now, so many of us who go through all these low moments, it's not awesome to talk about in the moment, but I can talk about it now. It took us, so I had quit my day job. I went into that business full time, and with the ignorant thought that, okay, like 6 months, in 6 months, this will then replace my income, right? And it will pay all my bills. So ignorant. Fast forward 3 years. 3 years, the business was sustaining. It was taking care of itself. It was absolutely not taking care of us. And so the whole gamut, credit cards, cashing out 401k, like that's the scene. Okay.
Wow.
So there was a moment where I was looking at my bank account going, I have 2 months worth of cash to pay my mortgage for 2 more months. That's what I've got. And everything that could be paid on credit card, I was paying on credit card. And I looked at my bank account and I was like, I don't know what I'm stressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I did the unthinkable. I went and got a job. Wow. And in the entrepreneurial world, that's like, oh, boo, I can't believe you did that.
You quit. You gave in.
Right. That means you're not really in it. Right. Which is really what my belief system was. And so I reluctantly went and got a job. still working full time in our business after hours.
Yeah.
And I hustled my butt off for, it was probably like 5 or 6 months that I worked there. And I humped it. Like I worked it. I collected my paychecks. I would then go to our local company, and I would then, like within those 5 months, I had gotten enough cash to build up a little reserve and pay down some credit card debt. So I felt so, and by that point I was like, dude, I'm done with having a job. So I felt okay.
But that was you needed to do that decision, and you needed to get the money back on track.
Don't regret it at all.
Right.
But what I recognize now is that I did it and it was painful. I suffered. I hated every second of it. I hated the job. I was exhausted because I was working 20 hours a day. Like that's not an exaggeration. And so fast forward, a year or two ago, our local company had a major transition, and it majorly transitioned what that meant for our household income. And so I took a look at my Biz Women Rock business, and I was like, okay, up until that point, I had been, it had been sort of a part-time business for me because I was still full-time in that company. And so I looked ahead. I was like, okay, this is going full-time now. What am I going to do? I need to make this work, and I need to make, I need to take care of my family, and business is going to do it. And this was, by the way, I just decided this in my head. Like all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm doing. So the steps that I give in that article are exactly this, which is, and in every single one of these steps is a pillar of what I believe in. So step number 1 is just decide.
Yeah.
Decide.
You're talking my language, lady.
Yeah. And it's a very easy step to skip over, but it's a massive thing.
It's the most important thing. You can't do anything without a decision. You can't.
It's not a dramatic process. I mean, I'm a big journaler. You don't need to journal about this if you don't want to. Like, it just happens in a moment. I'm just saying, I'm going to do that.
I'm just going to do that. Commitment to yourself.
The second step is to get clear. Like,
what's your goal? What's your why, right?
Really, right. Like and it's not just about, what's your why, but it's like, no, what are the numbers? Like, this is where I get into what are the numbers. Okay. So what are the real numbers? What do I actually need? What does that mean for me to be able to take care of my family? What do I actually need? Let me work out some numbers so I can get clear on what these things really are that I now need to go do. Right.
Right.
So it's that. And then the third step is create an intelligent strategy. So now once you're clear on the numbers, by the way, that getting that clarity in step 2 is really, it's a foundational pillar of mine, because it's like, if you can't see, if anything in your business is vague, the results are going to be vague. So you've got to see super clear. I need X amount of clients at this amount of money, or I need this amount of things to sell over here for this amount, and I can sell this. Knowing that will help you create an intelligent strategy that makes sense. Everyone and their mother can tell you what you should do for marketing, what you should do to bring in more sales, but no one knows what exactly it is that you're producing and offering, who exactly it is that is perfect for. And when you are clear on that, you can back into what the perfect marketing strategy is for you. And then step 4 is take action. Huge thing and this is sort of this is where a lot of the newbie entrepreneurs find themselves, is that's a sticking moment. Like, but I want to prepare everything first before I take it. No, don't prepare everything. Just go, just do, because you're going to learn along the way. So take action. And then the fifth one was having a daily mindset routine. So we're kind of circling back to that whole thing, but continually training your brain that everything is possible. So you're in the thick of it, but continue to train your brain. I'm going to do this. I'm doing this now. It's already done. I'm doing this now.
Knowing it, believing it. Yeah.
And along the way, getting back to this initial comment of we are the ones who stand in our own way. It's for lack of a better term, it's those affirmations. I'm enough. I can do this. I'm successful. I've got this. Right. I'm amazing. People get value out of who I am and what I do. People are happy to pay for my services because I am providing such immense value and expertise for them. And the more you do that stuff, the more you believe it.
I love it. And Katie, I can't tell you how many interior designers listening need that message, that they are valuable, that what they do is valuable, that it isn't easy to do. And just because it looks pretty doesn't mean it's easy, and it's fluff and it's this and that and it's the other thing. And that people hire interior designers because they don't have the skill to do it, and
Yep.
they're if you ever saw the websites and the work, Katie, that I see that comes through guest after guest after guest, your mind's blown at what they do and what the creativity is. It's really something, and I think it's so excellent. And what's funny is one of your steps, get clear on what you want and how you do it. Krista Cooper is a business consultant that specializes in interior design clients, and she's been on the show 5 different times. And one of her episodes, she expressed it in language that relates exactly to us as design community, and it's get very clear on, do you want to work 20 hours a week? Do you want to work 40 hours a week? Do you want to work, 15 hours a week? Do you want to have one employee? Do you want to be a solo? Do you get all of that together? Get all those numbers together. Figure it out what it costs in order to do all. Do you want to have 2 weeks vacation, 6 weeks vacation? And then you can figure out how much you have to bill for an hour, how many clients you need in a month, a year, a week, and back it all out. Like you said, don't kid yourself on the numbers. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was a very enlightening conversation, and I'd love for everybody to be able to listen to that one again, but I couldn't tell you. She was on episode 45, 81, 24, 60, and 150. So I don't know which one that was. You're going to have to listen to all 5 of Krista's. And the reason that I bring it up here is because it really takes what Katie was just describing and narrowing it specifically to your business as an interior designer. So it really takes that same exact 5-step process that you just described, Katie, but puts it in an interior design language for us. And I think I always say you have to hear things 2, 3, 4, 5 different times by different people. And then, the aha moment comes. And so I'll bet between your message and Krista's message that it makes a lot of sense for anybody that's struggling with how to set clear goals so that they can effectively strategize for a profitable, productive year, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. I love it. So here's the thing. I would love for you to share with us. You have a retreat coming up, and I know that these are very, very effective. And I'm just going to share with everybody, this literally the first time I'm putting it out there, that I'm actually planning to do this for our community as well. But you tell us, because yours is coming up, and I know that any one of us will get value if we're interested in being part of your retreat. So tell us about it. What are you planning? When is it? And, just give us the DL on it.
Awesome. So, okay, here's the deal. We as business owners, we get stuck in the mud. We are in the dailies of our business. We are running day in, day out. And as we get more and more savvy, we realize that we need to take more time out to work on our businesses, right? To be strategic about where we want it to go. But rarely do we actually take a good chunk of our time out to really get clear on that stuff. You could tell I have a big value called get clear, because when you're clear, you can figure out the steps, right? So that's what this retreat is. This retreat is on December 1st through 3rd. It's the Biz Women Rock Retreat. And it's getting you set up for your best year in 2018. And the way that we're going to do that, first off, the retreat, just to make sure everyone knows, it's done in a very luxurious mansion in Orlando. There are, 15 beds in the house. And so we are all there. It's super intimate. There is like a hot tub and pool and game room. And I'm bringing in, a Reiki specialist. I'm bringing in, and she's also doing morning yoga for everyone. I'm bringing in my personal massage therapist, who's amazing. Like, there's definitely like a great culmination of business strategy, masterminding, exercises that are going to help you get clear on what you want for the upcoming year, and then getting into and using the weekend for creating how you're actually going to do that, and getting ideas from other really awesome women who are on fire just like you to make this next year their best year, and getting all of those ideas working together so that you can get all jazzed up and have, at the end of it, the goal is to have a very realistic action plan that works for you and designed by you. You call this podcast the Well-Designed Business, and that's exactly what this is like, it's you proactively designing the business that you really want in this upcoming year. And so we're doing that in very practical ways. And we're circling back to what we just talked about right before this, which is something as simple as like, okay, well, what do you want your life to look like, December 31st, 2018. And then let's kind of move backwards into that. Like, what do we actually need to do that? And we're talking real numbers, real strategy, real things. And so most often what has happened at the retreat is people are like, oh, well, that's not that hard to do.
I could do that.
Right. So it's a beautiful combination of these exercises that help you work from the inside out to get clear on what you want. Strategy, masterminds, one-on-one time, tons of community fun time with the girls, lots of wine time, in the evenings and jammy masterminds. And then lots of that self-care that we don't do for ourselves. And so it's a really nice balance of all of that.
I love it. I think it's amazing. And I have to say, I give a shout out to my friend Sandra Funk. We just were in Atlanta together for a speaking engagement. We were on a panel together, and we took the plane home together, and we drove home from the airport together, and we basically cooked up this same thing. And she's like, Lou, you get me in a room with designers that I can, like, just what we just did for 3 days, and you throw a massage in there for me. She goes, I'm writing a check. I'm coming.
Exactly.
And it's so funny. So I was like, yeah, let's do this, lady. So we, it's funny. And then, of course, Katie, I've known you and I've known your podcast, and I met you this summer in Anaheim quickly. And it wasn't until today that, well, I shouldn't say that. I should not say that, because I listened the other day. I was listening to your podcast and I heard you announcing it, but it was today that I was on the website, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like so cool, because it's very similar. So what I want to say to my people out there, my friends, is that there is value in doing an event like this outside of your industry, because you will always, it's just like the whole value of Power Talk Friday. You are interacting and learning from people that are not in our bubble. And of course, there's always going to be value for industry specific, so that you can pick the interior designer's brain that's 5 or 6 years ahead of you in business and ask the specific questions. Because I have to tell you, Katie, this business that we have here, with flat fees and hourly fees, and really facing clients that don't understand the value, and the clients on a regular basis contract for, say, a living room for a fee, and it's attached, and they sign the agreement. And as the designer is there hardworking doing the living room, they'll be like, well, could you just tell me about the bathroom here? And, you can't imagine how intrusive and how disrespectful that is to an interior designer, because you didn't pay for that information. But designers by nature are giving people. They're people that want the rooms and the spaces to be beautiful, and they want to share. But it's a big hurdle to helping every one of us stand in our space and know what our value is, and to make sure that we earn it each time we give it to somebody, right?
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
And, interior designers are the reason it's so powerful to surround yourself and put yourself in a situation with people outside of your industry is because you'll see how similar you actually are, and and what other people are doing that could give you ideas on how you can innovate, how you are doing things in your business. A really good example of this that ties right back into that, what you were saying, is that last year's retreat, I had a woman there who has a concierge business, like a high-end personal assistant business, right? And we did a hot seat for her. And during this hot seat, we found out that she was seriously uncomfortable. She had not yet figured out, and this is a couple of years into her business, how to stay away from the how much do you charge per hour, because that put her in the same boat as the $10 an hour person. And of course, people aren't going to say yes to her prices that are significantly higher than that if you actually asked her about her per hour pricing, right? Same kind of concept for designers, is that, you are doing timed work, but how do you do that in a way that shows the value? Because your value is not just in your time, it's in your expertise, it's in your experience, it's in all of that. So we did this hot seat for her, and somebody said something so brilliant. She said, people will pay for the result and not for the hour. So you just So we came up with, like, you really just need to have completely eliminate the hourly rate conversation and just talk about the result.
Right.
And then you create packages around that. Fast forward, I literally just met her. She's a client of mine now. And I just met her for lunch today. She happens to live here. And she was like, I can't believe she's coming to the retreat again. She's like, I don't even think about that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I have created these packages. People never blink. This is exactly what they want. They want that benefit of having it. I mean, they're never asking me price. Like, of course they're asking price. Everyone's asking price, but they're not asking it in the context of, how much do you charge per hour?
They're not nickel and diming her down to a price.
No,
it's like, this is a service that you provide, and that's the price that's attached to it, and I'll take 3. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she's like, I can't, because she attracts the people who will have that conversation with her, and not the people who will have the, well, wait a minute, I could get, my high school's daughter's friend to do this for me for $5 an hour.
And so go do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so it's all there, right? So anyway, the cool part is that's the transformation that happens, is that when you see that, you can deal with it, you can create strategy to transform out of it. And then 10 months later, here she is having significant high-end clients who she never has to have that conversation with.
Right. I love it. I love it, Katie. I have to tell you, I could ask you questions all day long because
this is so fun. This feels like such a fun conversation. And I'm just honored to be here.
You're honored. I'm honored. I'm like, you're in my ear all the time. And so now I'm like, wait, but I'm talking to her and she's answering me instead of I'm talking to the windshield. Oh, it's awesome. So, Katie, we go to bizwomenrock.com, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I can't say enough how much I am really grateful that you spent your time with us. And it's so funny because, there's a rule. We all know there's a rule in podcasting. You talk to one person, right? As opposed to your whole audience. And this show, I have more times than I ever have in 18 months talked to everybody as a group. And the reason is because I'm really like, every one of you has to get this. Like I just feel like,
I do that too.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I really, because I really feel like this is your particular expertise is valuable for somebody who's in business 25 years or 25 minutes. And so that's why I kept really phrasing so much of this conversation collectively. Because a lot of times I am talking to one person. I'm talking to the person who's only in business 1 year, or the one person that has 3 employees and wants to know how to have 4. But today was a particularly different episode for me, Katie, because I know that you can bring value across the board to all of us at every level of our business. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. It was so much fun, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.